Summer sun and the cycle of Jewish history. And this has confused many people. No one knows what the heck the class is about. People have called me up to come in flip-flops. People do not know what the class is about, and it's very confusing. But I want to try to explain what my topic is tonight and why I've called it Summer Sun and the Jewish cycle of history. I lived in Israel for a long time, and in Israel, it just seemed like a lot of times in the summer there were problems. A lot of times it seemed that in the summer there was intifadas, there was tension. Doug, what do you think? You think we have a head of security here? What do you think? What's that?
Every summer we're preparing for war.
Is that true?
Absolutely.
Wow. I didn't know that. This is not staged, ladies and gentlemen. This is not staged. Doug is actually the head of security in the entire area, and he's just testified to that. It's really true. And now you can say sociologically, okay, it's hot. You need a little action, you know, some rock throwing, something to keep you entertained. That may be true. But there are deeper spiritual reasons why in the summer, in the Jewish world at least, there are this action in Israel. And there really is a deeper reason for it. I want to try to explain it to you tonight. And it's not what you would want, because summer is the kind of time of sun, you know, summer fun. You want to do things. And in Israel, a lot of times, there's a tension there. And I want to try to explain tonight what the root of this problems and tensions that arise in Israel during the summer, why it is, and how it's going to be fixed, and what we can do about it. Okay? So I want to start with this first slide here. This is a very famous slide, as you all can see. As everyone knows, this is a slide of the ancient Hebrews in the locker room before the big match, before the big soccer match. As you can see here against the ancient Phoenicians here, you see this coach Jacob telling one of the boys to bless the, let's kill those Phoenicians, go dogs, right? No, sorry, that's not what this is. What is this? This is a picture of Jacob blessing his 12 sons. Okay? In the story, before Jacob dies, he blesses his 12 sons. Now, if you noticed here, there are some names that we gave to the sons here. Okay, we called Shimon, Reuben, and Levi. Now, the reason why we picked these three is because these three, what?
They got dumped on.
That's right. These three were the only three that did not get blessed. Okay? So again, all of the 12 sons, that means all the other 9 guys got blessed. These three did not get a blessing. They got rebuked by their father Jacob on his deathbed. Now, so by the way, is anyone here a Levite? Get out of here. Yeah, you didn't get, you know. I know you're a Levite, but Levites.
Son, Levi?
Yeah, but Levites had a problem here. So don't worry, Mickey. Here's the good news. Here's the good news.
Land, right?
The Levites, although they didn't get the blessing, the Levites fixed themselves up. The Levites redeemed themselves in the whole story of the golden calf. They were the ones who didn't participate. They led the charge to resolve the problem. So the Levites were good. They actually became the Kohanim and the Levites, the central players in the service in the temple. So the Levites were okay. But here, these two, Reuben and Shimon, we can understand tonight, they remained not blessed by their father Jacob, but rebuked. Okay? Now I want to say one thing about this before this happened. Before this blessing happened, so the sages tell us that Jacob was about to reveal to his sons the secrets of the future. He was going to tell them about the redemption, what was going to happen in the end of time, and the whole story of how the end of history unfolds. The story of the Messianic times and how that works. And what happened was, it says that when he was about to reveal this prophecy, the divine presence left him. Okay? All of a sudden, he couldn't say it. God was not with him. And then he got nervous. He got nervous that maybe some of his sons were really problematic. Even though his sons didn't get blessings, he knew that they were good. Now he gets nervous that maybe some of his children are completely problematic. And this leads the 12 sons to respond to him, to scream to him the Jewish battle cry. What's the Jewish battle cry? We're going to Miami Beach. That's for you. On a shuffleboard this week, huh? Was good? No, that's not it. It's Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Hear, O Israel, because Jacob's name was Israel. Right? His name is Jacob and Israel. Hear, O Israel, the sons say, the Lord our God, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. The Lord our God, the Lord is one. That's what they told him to make him understand that they were okay. They believed in one God. There was no problem with them. Okay? Now I want you to look at the word echad a second. One. You look at the word echad, you see it adds up to 13. Now what does this mean? Sages tell us as follows. The one in this story represents Jacob. 8 are the sons that come from Leah and her handmaiden. And 4 are the other 4 sons that come from Rachel and her handmaiden. Okay? That means what? That echad, 1, is together the number 13 in Judaism. That represents oneness is 13. Now I want to understand something very amazing here. 1 expands into 12 parts. Look at this cube here. Okay? So if you take this one 3-dimensional object and you count the vectors, the lines connecting, how many do you think there are? 12. So Jacob is 1, and then the 12 tribes now expand to be from Jacob and his family, there's going to be 12. The 12 tribes of Israel, as we're going to see tonight, are not random, okay? They are the complete expansion from 1. That is echad. There's 1 that expands now into a 3-dimensional object into 12 vectors. Okay, does that make sense? We understand that? Okay? Because now it's going to get even weirder. You know, when you study a class on Kabbalah, it's my responsibility to say things that sound completely incomprehensible. Because that's why people think it's good, you know. How was the class? I didn't understand a word of it. It was great. The rabbi baffled me. It must be deep. So that's not true. But I will say this word here, that this is space. Now I'll throw the word out. But as Einstein told us, we have the space-time continuum. That's good. Now you're baffled. So even though the 12 tribes represent the expansion of space, they also represent the expansion of time. Now let me show you this. How many tribes are there?
12.
How many months are there?
12.
12. That's right. Here are the 12 tribes, and here is how they stationed in the coming into land of Israel. Here was the tabernacle, and the 12 tribes, 3 on each side, surrounded the tabernacle. That's the way they were. Now, each tribe lines up with a different month. Okay? So you see here the months, and here are the tribes. Okay? It starts from Judah in the east. Judah is this, Issachar is that, Zvulun is that. Okay, so this is like kind of April, May, June. Okay? It's called Siva. Now we're getting into the summer months. What do we got? Tammuz is usually July. That lines up with Reuven. Now we have the month of Av, which lines up with Shimon, which is usually August. Now, something very fascinating that means. That means, you want to know why there's problems in the summer? Did you notice what happened? The only 2 tribes that end up not being blessed, not fixing up like Levi, Reuven and Shimon, they are essentially the summer months. These are the months where the issues start. Because these 2 months represent the 2 tribes that have not fixed up what they have to do. Okay? Now, I think it's amazing. There is a book called Sefer Yetzirah. It's a very ancient Kabbalistic text, and it lists in there, it lines up every single month with every tribe, with every astrological sign, with the letters of the Hebrew alphabet. Let's see now where these people come out. So we look at this book here, we'll see, here are the months. So Tammuz, which is July, is Reuven. Av, the month of Av, which is August, is Shimon. Now, the book called the Sefer Yetzirah lines up certain other things. Let's look at a few. Actions. It lines up the action that's connected with this month, of the 2 summer months here, July and August. The action of this month is seeing. Now that makes a lot of sense, really. Because does anyone know what the name Reuven actually means? It means to see. His mother, Leah, named him. She said, God saw my pain. He has to do with the quality of seeing. Now, Shimon, amazingly, is that what the word Shimon means? Shimon means Shomeya. God heard my cries. That's what his mother said. Okay? He is the month that has to do with hearing. Okay? It's the signs of Cancer and Leo, which we'll see in a few minutes. But I want you to notice something else. Look at the letters that are lined up with these 2 tribes. Chet and Tet. I yelled, as our official Hebrew teacher here, what does the word Chet and Tet represent as a word?
Chet is sin.
The word Chet is the essential basis of the word sin. Something's happened here with Reuven and Shimon that they have not attained what they had to do, and therefore there's going to be a problem in the summer, both in terms of the actions, the tribe, and the time. Okay? Let's see what we have here. What did Reuven do wrong? Okay? So as it says, this is what his father said to him when Jacob had to go and to, instead of blessing Reuven, he rebuked him. Let's see the rebuke he gave him. Reuven, you are my firstborn, my strength, the first of my might. You should have been superior in rank, superior in power. You have the restlessness of water. Therefore you shall not have superiority, for you ascended upon your father's couch, then you profaned him who ascended upon my bed. What's going on here? Let's get the story. The story first. But you see Reuven, he's given it to him. Reuven's not coming out too good. He's compared to what? To water. Let's try to understand. Let's get the story first. Here's the story. The story's like this. Jacob has 4 wives. Not a very good thing to do, because it doesn't work out too well. Okay, that we're not going to get into right now. But he had to for various reasons, and the whole history, how it worked. We're not going to get into why it happened, but it ends up that way. Rachel was his main wife. Remember the story? He wanted to marry Rachel, and then the father-in-law did the switcheroony. Right? Father-in-laws, careful. Switcheroony, right? That's what he did. Okay. He gave Leah, and he ends up having to marry both, because he wanted to marry Rachel, was his prime one. Now what happened was Rachel died. Okay? Reuven knew that Jacob's main place was by Rachel. That was really the place he wanted to be. But Reuven is not a child of Rachel. He's a child of Leah. Now, what happened is that Rachel dies. Now, Jacob has to go and sort of say, where is my main abode? And what he did was he brought his bed to the place of the wife named Bilhah, who was really Rachel's original handmaiden. And he figured Yaakov, he would have a child from Bilhah, would be honoring Rachel, and he brought his main bed to the tent of Bilhah. This flipped out Reuben. Reuben got very insulted. And it says he went and he ascended the couch, he took his father's bed, and he pulled it out, and he dragged it out, and he wouldn't let his father go into Bilhah's tent. He prevented it. The Kabbalists tell us an amazing thing. They say, if Jacob would have had relations with Bilhah that night, there would have been born the 13th tribe. I told you it was 12. There's 12 ways we expand. But 13 is the numeric value of echad, of one. There would have been a tribe that could have been born that would have been a unifier. And Reuven prevented that. What was the trait that prevented it? Water. I want to explain to you what water is. Water and fire, as you know, are two opposites. Okay? Water, what it does is it unites all things. If you take flour and you put water in, it combines it. Right? What does fire do? The opposite. The fire separates things. It burns things into their components. Water, therefore, always represents love, connection, kindness, right? Uniting, we call chesed in Kabbalah's literature. Chesed, kindness. It's the ability to unite things. That's what water is, as opposed to fire, which is going to be strength and restraint. The opposite. Reuven is water. Okay, he's a lover. He wants to see good things, and he feels bad that his mother has been shortchanged. And that drives him to go and to misuse his traits and to become somebody who hastily acts and to defend his mother's love and his mother's feelings. He ends up doing this thing. Yeah, you have a question?
For the past couple of things that you said about how water is kindness and everything like that, then why? And also, it also represents Torah. Why couldn't he just say fire? Wouldn't that be a more accurate representation?
Why you say what?
Why wouldn't he just say fire? Why wouldn't he compare it to fire?
Because the quality of Reuven, as we're going to see, as opposed to Shimon, is Reuven is going to be a person that is a person of kindness. Shimon's going to be a person of strength. Reuven's going to be a person of water. Shimon's going to be a person of strength. Okay. Now, can anyone think what would that do with seeing? What does that have to do with seeing? So I want to say one more concept that's a little difficult, but once we get this, the rest will be easier. Seeing is more like kindness. Hearing is more like fire. Let me explain to you why. When you see something, it's a different experience than when you hear it. Because when you see something, you're seeing an entire picture, a whole thing. When you hear something, you hear broken parts. When you see something, it's more like water. You're seeing the whole picture. You're kind of putting it all together. It's a uniting thing like water is. When you hear something, here's the way it works. You hear a statement, one statement, two statements, three statements, and you have to take those pieces and put them together. Water represents, and Reuven represents a person of kindness, who's love, who's seeing, but what happens is his sight is the whole picture, and we're going to see now Shimon is the opposite. Shimon, look what's about Shimon and Levi. Their brothers stone aside their weapons, let their soul not enter the council of my honor, shall not join their assembly. Now why? What was wrong with Shimon as opposed to Reuven? For in their wrath they killed a man, and with their will they hamstrung a bull. You know what the bull's referring to? Was referring to Joseph. Shimon was the one, the story of Joseph, who says, here comes the dreamer, let's kill him. Who was that? That was Shimon. He led that. And what does it mean they killed a man? If you know the story of Shem, the story of Shem was Shem had taken Dinah, who was Yaakov's daughter, and they raped her. And what happened was Shimon and Levi ended up killing the entire city. Shimon is therefore the opposite. He is fire. Cursed be their wrath, for it is mighty, and their anger, because it is harsh. I will separate them through Jacob, and I will scatter them throughout Israel. So let's understand a second. What happens in these months of the summer? You have Reuben's month and Shimon's month. And these are 2 months that did not come to fruition. Okay? Reuben, who is the power of kindness and is seeing, it's misplaced. He does not do it well. Okay? He feels love for his mother, but he goes off the path. Shimon, who is strength and power, as you can see in Lynette's picture over there. There's Shimon. See, he's fighting over there. Right, Lynette? That's the picture. He's killing. Some commentaries say stringing up the bull meant that he hamstrung all of the animals. It wasn't enough he killed the city, but he wanted to show his anger and he hamstrung out, which is what you can see in Lynette's picture over there. So what happens is that Reuben and Shimon are these 2 tribes who don't reach their fruition. They don't become who they are. And they are July and August. They are Tammuz and Av. Now, I want to ask you a question. That's them. What about in Jewish history? In Jewish history, what has happened in the month of July and August, the month of Reuben of seeing, the month of Shimon of hearing, that would coincide with this problem? So look over here and we'll see. Something happens in this month that is very, very problematic in Jewish history. In Jewish history, Moses, they're in the desert. He sends out spies. What are spies supposed to do? See, right, supposed to see the land. He sends out the spies to go and see the land of Israel, if it's good or not. Okay? And what happens is they're supposed to come back and give a report. When they give the report, the people have to hear the report and either accept it or not. When did the spies go to see the land? They went in the month of Tammuz. Here it says, they sent out yourselves scouts to see the land. They returned from scouting the land at the end of 40 days. It has been taught on the 29th of Sivan, the last day of the month before Tammuz, was when they went. So it means the whole month of Tammuz, the whole month of July, let's call it. It's not exactly, but you understand the idea. That whole month was when the spies were looking at the land of Israel saying it's no good. They were using their power of vision improperly. They come back in the month of Av, on the 9th day of Av, and they say to the Jewish people, the land of Israel is no good. And the Jews have to hear it now. How do they hear it? They say, oh wow, this is terrible. And we know the story. Joshua and Caleb says, no, it's great, it's great, it's great. They couldn't hear that. They only heard the negative. So what happens is, it's not just Reuben and Shimon that misused the power of sight and the power of hearing. It was us. It was the entire nation in the month of Tammuz and in the month of Av. So what do you think about these months? You think they've been good times for the Jews? Well, let's take a look. What happened in the month of Tammuz? Let's see. The 17th day of Tammuz is the day that the golden calf was worshipped. It's the day that Moses comes down from the mountain and he breaks the tablets because he sees them worshiping the golden calf. The same day is the day the Babylonians seized Jerusalem due to force to seize the offerings. It's the day where Aspamus was a Roman emperor, burns the Torah, the first case. Of course, we've seen it now too much, but the first case is the thing. It's the day that the Romans put an idol in the temple. They institute an idol on the same day in Tammuz. Now watch this. The walls of Jerusalem are breached in both the Roman siege and, according to the Jerusalem Talmud, even the Babylonian siege. Tammuz has been a rough month for the Jews. It was a month where the Jews did not use their eyesight properly. Reuben didn't use his eyesight properly, and it was a rough month. Let's look at the next month. What about Av? Oh my gosh, this is what I can't even go through, because this is like, it'll get better, don't worry. What's our history in Av? And the Jews cried upon receiving the report of the spies in the desert. And then God says, 40 years you have to stay in the desert. That happens the 9th day of Av. The first temple is destroyed. Now, that's not a clue. The second temple is destroyed on the same exact day. 490 years later. I mean, it's starting to look a little bit fishy, you know? Kind of a coincidence. What happens then? Beitar. Beitar was a city of millions of Jews. The Romans killed the entire city. That was the famous, you heard of Bar Kokhba, the famous Jewish resistance was smashed, and the Jewish control left on this day of the 9th of Av. The Temple Mount is plowed like the Romans, like a field. That's a little bit of modern history what happens on the 9th of Av. The first crusade is declared on Tisha B'Av, on the same day. The expulsion of England is on the same day. What were the Jews thinking when the expulsion of Spain happened the same day? World War I begins on Tisha B'Av. And if you know history, the reality is World War II is an extension of World War I. It really was, because the Treaty of Versailles and the German situation. So really we can say the Holocaust started on Tisha B'Av. Deportation of the Warsaw Ghetto to Treblinka. Iraq walks out and talks in Kuwait. I think, Dov, you could agree with me here. What happened was, this was fascinating, years ago when they were going to move the Jews out of Gush Katif, right? The famous story when the Jews were living in Gaza area and they expelled them, the day was supposed to be Tisha B'Av. And the government realized it like 3 days before, that this is not going to go down too well. So they moved it. But it was scheduled officially to be on Tisha B'Av. This is the month that we've had problems. Because why? Because historically, it's a month that we have to come to fruition. We've got to use our eyes and our ears properly. Let's understand, how do we do this? How do we use our eyes and ears properly? How do we rectify the months of Tammuz and the month of Av? So let me first ask you a question. What do you think are the higher senses of a person? Seeing, hearing, smelling, touch?
Smelling.
Seeing, smell is higher? Yeah? And why do you think that?
Direct connection to the brain.
Direct connection to the brain. Okay, here. What other people think? Which sense do you think are the most powerful senses that you have?
Taste.
Taste? Really? Why do you say taste?
Because we very much live to eat, and eating and tasting are part of all of our holidays, and a very strong association.
Oh, okay. Okay, I hear it. So, and we have a couple commandments of taste also. Eating matzah, which is delicious. Yeah. What do you think?
Hearing, because like if a noise is like loud enough, if it's like super loud noise, you can hear it farther than you can see. So I think that it's superior than.
I can't believe what you just said, because there's a part that's not exactly right, but there's a part that you actually said the Maharal Miprag, who was the great Kabbalist philosopher. You actually brought his rationale. My boy. What else do you think? Which sense do you think is more powerful?
I think the smell, because you can't go without it for more than like 5 seconds a minute. Like you can go without seeing for a while. You can go without tasting for a day maybe, but you can't go without
Because
smelling.
you have to breathe.
You have to breathe, yeah.
So I know you're moving to Chicago, but here in Atlanta, we have a lot of the allergy seasons. Like I can go 5 months without breathing through my nose. You know? So I think I've been living to tell about it. Just breathe like this.
Well, I think that in a sense of what is the most necessary to our perception, I think that sight and hearing are the most useful to our perception. That, if you look at the lack of sight or the lack of hearing, it seems to cause the greatest lack of perception compared to, say, if you couldn't smell. Like, it's not fun, but you're not missing out on much.
That's right. Just get some allergy tests, and that's right. Exactly. I think it's a very good point. You're saying also like morale.
I have 2 arguments, one for smell, one for touch. For smell, it can take you back like I smell soap and I'm like, oh, it smells like my summer camp where I haven't been there in like 12 years.
I went to a camp-made soap for.
No, but like it's like the same soap that they use in my camp. Like whatever it is, it's like smells can totally take you back,
Yeah.
and you don't even think about it until you smell the same smell. And touch also is like how babies and kids start exploring the world. They start figuring
Right.
out.
Right.
But with sight, without sight, how can you read the Torah?
You can't, but you can learn by heart. So you can learn. I mean,
Somebody has to.
Right. Right. But we've had actually some many great sages who were blind.
And
Who,
it also touch because again you touch it.
So you do commands a lot. So let me try to put this together because you're all saying good. In a certain sense, yes, smell is maybe the most subtle. And that's what the Kabbalah say it's the only sense that Adam and Eve did not sin with, the sense of smell. So it's the most subtle. And that may well be true. It's a sense that is linked to your soul. And that's what you're saying. It says the only sense that your soul gets pleasure from is a sense of smell, which is why on Saturday night we smell the spices. Why? Because your extra spirituality leaves after Shabbos. You need to like kind of jumpstart your soul. So you don't take your two things and shock yourself. You take the salmon, the spices, and you shock yourself like that because it goes to the soul. So that's true. So in that way, and it says Mashiach judges through the sense of smell. It's a very refined sense. But what Effie said and what Yaakov said is the way that the great philosopher, the Maharal, explains it. He says, listen, you can see which sense is more crucial by how far it reaches. That's a sign to you of which sense is more needed, more crucial, or can be used in the higher spiritual realms easier. So which is the furthest? Sight. That part wasn't right. Sight, you can see the stars. You can see things further than you hear them. You see the furthest with your eyes. You hear, your hearing is the second. And then after that, it's smelling, taste, and physical. And it doesn't mean physical is not valuable. It just means that this is considered to be a more basic. That's what you meant with the children. There's a very basic way kids learn to contact the world is through tactile experience. It is more basic. I see the Kabbalah say an amazing thing. Okay, something else I say here. They say that what happens is when I touch any part of your body, you feel it. Why? You have nerve endings, right? The Kabbalah say that's true, but it's a deeper meaning. It says when the soul permeates the body, it goes to the whole body. And what happens is, the reason why you feel something is because your soul permeates the whole body. What happens with the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth? It says the power of the soul bursts out of these places. These are in some way higher. So when I have an experience right now, when I see something with my, and this is very important now, when I see something with my eyes, I have a sense. Here's my question. Who's experiencing it? When you have an experience, right, I see something. Who's the I? The I is me. Who's the I? Seeing it. It's the soul. It's me. So the senses are very powerful because what happens is they are the gates between you, what you're experiencing in the world, and yourself and your soul. But are the senses always correct? No. You could see something, and it's the bridge between the outer world and yourself, but you got to be careful. I'll give you an example here. This is an amazing parenting thing that I've noticed. So sometimes you may go to someone's house, and they have their 3-year-old and a 2-year-old on the table, and 4-year-old, whatever it is, and there's got a bottle of Coke on the table. And the kid starts screaming their head off, "I want Coke! I want Coke!" Now, the young parent goes and starts to say, "Little Jimmy, sorry, you've had 16 cups already today. I think it's time to stop." So Jimmy not listening to reason, says, I want Coke, I want Coke, I want Coke. And the parent goes on, Jimmy, I already told you it's 16 cups today, that's your max. And this goes on and you're like sitting there kind of embarrassed, when is this going to end already? I got a simple solution. Take the stupid Coke off the table. Take the stupid Coke off the table. When you see a little kid and you take it off the table, you will find that it changes very quickly. Because when your eyes see something, it wants it. It yearns it. It doesn't mean it's the right thing for you. That means that you have to learn, we have to learn how to balance our senses. We have to learn how to take, we have to learn how to take our eyesight and see the world like Reuben didn't, see the world and take the good part of our sight and use it for something positive. Reuben is a person he's love. He's all, but you know what? If you're a love person and you go after everything you see, I'm going to tell you, you got a problem on your hands. You got to move to California first, maybe here, because everything. Wow, that's beautiful, man. You're going to follow everything in your eyes. That's not healthy. Same thing with hearing. You got to make sure that everything that comes into your ears is going to be used properly. The time where that happens is really, the crucial time really is this time of the year. Right now it's not, it's the month of sight, next month of hearing, and we have to be very careful. You have to be careful how you go and see things. You can see the positive in people or the negative. And you're looking at the same thing, but you're interpreting information. You see a guy doing something, and you can go and say, oh, you know what? It's no good. And you have what's called in the Sage a bad eye. You see the world through a negative lens. And you got to work on that. You got to make sure that whatever you see, you're transmitting to yourself, to your soul, to your brain by saying, looking at it in a positive way. Same thing with what you hear. You got to take the information. Hearing, you could be very critical. You could be a fire, like Shimon. You could be a tough guy. I hear it, I have a critique. But you could hear things, put it together in a way where you hear the best. And that's what has to happen. I want to tell you something very important. And I was going to take questions, comments, thoughts, what I said before I tie this together. Questions, comments, thought of what we said so far. Sort of makes sense. Yes, makes sense. Little make sense. Good? Yeah, get a question?
What happens when we get to the 15th of Av, which is a very happy day?
That's right. We're gonna get to that. We'll answer that. We're going to see about Tisha B'Av in a second. Now, you had a question?
When you were saying that seeing causes desire, but maybe that's true for a 2-year-old. But like, if let's say you smell like pizza, and then you want pizza, it's not. You don't necessarily have to see it.
So that's a good point. However, seeing is the most powerful aspect that would lead to desire. And so much so the sages tell us if somebody is blind, he's considered like he's a little bit dead. And it's not because the blind person there's anything wrong with the blind person, but part of being alive is I have challenges. When a person is blind, their desires are actually less. They don't see. I'll give you an example here. It's about eating, right? You could testify this is true. When you make something. Okay, so when you eat something, when they go and they serve something in a restaurant, I'm talking about the taste. One of the things you want to do, it depends how it looks. The way it looks creates the appetite for the thing. So what's the difference? I'm going to eat it. Because when you see something, that's why it says the verse says, don't go after your eyes and your heart. When your eyes see something, that really is the strongest draw that we have to desire. That's the water is the eyes. Yeah. Someone had another point, another question? Yeah. Anyone that makes sense? Everyone got it? Yeah. So Reuben didn't get it right. The Jews in the desert didn't get it right. Are we getting it right? What do you think? We're getting it right? I think you are getting it right. I have faith in this. We're getting it right. You know why? Here's the idea. Because you have to understand something amazing. Jewish history is a long process. And the results are cumulative. Every year, every generation, every time, you go and use your eyes or your ears properly, it adds up. It builds the system. It's cumulative. I remember one time when I was in Birmingham, we used to get a lot of Birmingham. We got a lot of people that were not Jewish, who were very into Israel. So we had this new receptionist, and she was very excited. She was very excited to be working at a temple. She was like, wow. So one day I walk in, and she goes, Rabbi, can I ask you a question? Just tell me the truth. Are they rebuilding the third temple now? And I said, yes, they are. And she goes, I knew it! I knew it! I knew it! I said, calm down. I said, every time you do something good, it's like we're building a new brick in the temple. She didn't kind of get that it was an analogy. She was like, she was ready to go visit. But that's the truth. The truth is, every time you do something positive, you're putting another brick into that building. That's what Jewish history is. Jewish history means that it's not a question of okay, they made a mistake, we gotta get it perfect. It's not what it means like that. It means they made a mistake, we've been going through a process for thousands of years that gets us there. And this is crucial to understand, because when you have distance from somebody you love, distance from God, it looks bad. But you see, it's not exactly. Because the distance creates the longing. The challenges you go through create the ability for you to be bigger and greater. And so what happens is that the fact that these 2 months have been so hard throughout Jewish history, it means we're just in a process where they're becoming completed, and at that point, it's going to all be transformed. And this is what the sages tell us. Kabbalah say, in the times of Mashiach, Reuben will once again claim his birthright. Reuben, who had fallen, he's going to flip and become again in his grandeur. Well, how about Shimon? Shimon, who was fiery and angry. So, Shimon, what month? Do you remember what I sent you, the astrological signs of the months? So July, we said, was, and Tammuz is called Cancer. What is August? I think it's August. What is it? Leo. Leo the lion. And this is what it says in the Midrash. The lion, who is that? Nebuchadnezzar. He was the evil king of Babylon. Came in the month of the lion, right? And destroyed the lion. A lot of lions in the story here. The temple, which is called the lion. Why? In order that the lion, which is called God here, as the verse says, will come in the month of the lion and rebuild the lion. There's a lot of lions in that story. I'm aware of that. But the point is that the temple is going to be rebuilt specifically in Shimon's time, because the distance that he created, that we're working through with these challenges, is in the end going to make the love even greater. Every time you have something that pulls you away, when you overcome it, you are greater. Every time you separate from your love, when you come back, the love is more intense. That's what's happening. The month of Shimon, the lion, is going to be the month where the temple is built. Now, let me take one digression here for a second, just to show you some of these things. This is the Kabbalistic chart of the 10 spheres, the 10 emanations. I want to show you one thing. When you think of a lion, what do you think about a lion? What's the first,
Strength.
Strength? What? Arrogance? Courage? Courage, right? It's the Wizard of Oz, right?
Royalty.
Right? Lazy? No.
Royalty.
Lions are kind of lazy a little bit, right? Lene, what do you think? You've seen lions. What do you say?
They're pretty lazy.
And what happens when they get like? Do you ever see them when they get like?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Killers.
So that's like strength. When you see them, like you see them get up to go to their prey. Yeah. Really? Wow.
Powerful.
See them kill.
You have, yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the sense of it? What does it like feel like?
Power.
Yeah?
Control, power.
Wow. So lion is strength. I want to digress a second just to show you, this is what we call this is called the idea of the spherot. Just to give it to you in terms of basic idea of what we need for the session. When you think of a thought in your mind, you think how you want to do something. Okay, now I got to bring it into the world. I have a right hand. My right hand is my giving. That's like Reuven. Reuven is the giver. That's the right hand. That's called chesed. It's called kindness. I wrote here the number 72, which is called the gematria, the numerical value of the word chesed. Every letter in Hebrew has a numerical value. Aleph is 1, Bet is 2, Gimel is 3. So the word chesed, this word in Hebrew, the numerical value is 72. This is the word for strength, for gvura, for power, restraint. That's my left hand. My right hand says to the child, I love you, here you go, here's a gift. My left hand says, no. Now is no. I told you, 16 cups of Coke and not one more. Okay, maybe one more, but that's it. I'm beating up, where's my, I'm beating up on the food problems. So that's the giving, that's the chesed, the kindness of 72. And this is strength, control, mastery, restraint. That's the left hand. Now it goes through a process of a person. You have a thought, you bring it into action, and then you want to express it. The expression is what's called malchut. Kingship or nobility. It means the idea of bringing the thought you have out into the world, making a difference. So look at the numbers here, just interesting little math here. Is Lauren here still? Yeah. Lauren caught one time a mistake here, so you're doing all your numbers here, Lauren, okay? 72 is chesed, and gevura is 216, and look at malchus, which is the expression of all that, is 496. Look at this now. So if you take the word lion, aryeh, and you add the letters up, it's 216, which makes perfect sense, right, Lynette? Because that's the numbers of the word gevura.
That was pretty cool.
Time that. Thank you. Thank you. So this is lion, that's strength, and it exactly matches the number of gevura. But I want to show you one thing that's amazing here. When I talk about strength and restraint, son, you can't do this. Am I just a mean guy? Why do you tell your kid no? Because you love them. That's right. The reason why you say no is not strength, I want to say no. The reason why God destroyed the temple, why God put us through it's never, ever vengeance. Ever, ever, ever. It's always love. And that's why if you take the word for kindness, chesed, it's 72. And really, if you look at everything in Jewish thinking, everything comes into threes. There's one side, another side, and that's balance. If you multiply chesed, kindness, in its expression, it'll come out to be 216. It'll come out to be gevura, strength. Because the reason why you say no, the reason why you use strength is not for the sake of I want to be mean. It's how to express fully my kindness to you. And this works perfect what we're talking about. Because they don't know how many temples there are been in the land of Israel. 2. How many are there going to be? 3. That is the lion, which is the temple, which is strength, which is coming from the expression of kindness. I want to say one last point about the lion. So Shimon, we said, is the lion. He's a lion in the terms of his month. But does anyone know which tribe himself was called the lion and was the king?
Judah.
It was Judah. It wasn't Shimon. I'm saying it's wrong here. I mean, I understand Shimon is the month of the lion, but Judah was called the lion, but not so simple. Why? Yes, Judah's called a lion. A cub and grown lion is Judah. That's true. But Judah and Shimon united. They had to unite. And that's what the story in the book of Joshua. When the Jews inherited the land, Judah said to Shimon, you come with me. We're going to partner together. You're also a lion. And that's why, amazingly, remember the numbers we had before? We had the numbers for kindness, for strength, and then for expression, for malchus. If you take that word malchus, which is the revelation of everything in the end, it actually, a lot of numbers, a lot of colors. If you take the word Yehuda and you add it to the word Shimon, it will actually come out exactly the number of that full expression of Malchus, of expression of the ultimate redemption. That's Shimon. What happens here, ladies and gentlemen, to understand, is that, and it's the person we need to get, every single thing that happens that is negative is only because Hashem loves and wants to bring out good. And the longer challenges of this time, of this period, where we've had problems, in all the problems we listed, the month of Tammuz, the month of Av, where the tribes didn't make it, that is all building the love right now. In the end, when we fix it up, those become the greatest days. And that's why it says, in the future, the holiday of Tisha B'Av, the morning day when the temple is destroyed, will become the greatest holiday. That's what it'll be. It'll be the greatest holiday. Look here. So said the Lord of hosts, on the fast, the 10th month from the Rosh Hashanah, in the house of Judah will be a day of joy and happy holidays. The greatest day of joy will become Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av. Mashiach, Messiah, is born on the 9th of Av. That means that all of the problems, the end, that will be the happiest day. And that's why when you look at the name for the month of Av, what does an Av mean?
Father.
A father. That's what it means. The punishment, the no, the problems of this summertime is nothing to get distraught about or depressed about. Because what it is it's leading us in a process that as we fix it up, these days turn into the greatest days of love, the greatest days of connections, and to the greatest holiday when the temple is rebuilt in the month that it was destroyed, and Shimon and Reuven take their rightful place as completed and full tribes. Yes?
I want to ask, Mashiach is born on the 9th.
Yes.
What do you mean Mashiach is born?
I mean, the person who will be the Mashiach, the person who will be the person who will lead the Jews in the end of history, his birthday is the 9th of Av.
Oh, will be.
Will.
It says
Yeah.
it is born.
No, I mean, he will be born, right?
Will be.
Thank you.
So how come there are so many false messiahs? The one is born in the 9th? If we know that one fact about it.
So there's two answers. One is they were really false, and they didn't know what they were talking about. So to like that. Second one is that there is a metaphoric sense to this, which is that from the problem arises the solution, which is the deeper meaning of what we're saying. We're saying that the idea the Messiah is born, which is the same thing. The punishment is not for the punishment. The problem is not for the problem. The problem is for the solution. And that's what the deeper meaning that he's born the 9th of Av means. As soon as the troubles happen, God said, hey, this is not a vengeance to leave you down. This is going to be bringing you to wake you up to get you to be this great day again. So they might read it metaphorically, though it probably is literal also. Other questions, thoughts, ideas on anything that we have mentioned? Yeah? Okay. All right. Thank you all. So you had a point? On a point? Were you bidding for something? I think you just bought the. I thought you wanted to have.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh.
I thought you.
What do I do?
You moved your hand. I didn't know if you had a question or if you were bidding on something.
Sometimes it happens.
All right. Thank you all. All right.